When last we left our heroes, they spent a few hours running around doing random errands for that colony that, well, had a bunch of random tasks that needed doing.
That refuses to tell us anything.
You can save all of that till after you're done the plot mission, I think. Well, assuming everyone is alive at that point, which is not guaranteed. But, well...
Well, it doesn't matter if they're still alive, you're just going to talk to Phi Dan anyway.
No, you're not, actually. Funnily enough, you're not going to talk to Phi Dan.
Now, your characters just popped in the elevator sequence. Was that you jump cutting, or is that everyone just imploding into the elevator?
That was everyone imploding. I didn't do
Okay.
any jump cuts.
It's hard to tell with this game sometimes.
Well, I said earlier in the playthrough, graphical flaws are not glitches, they are not edits. The only edits that I ever did during this playthrough were fade pasts for the driving sections. But not this driving section, because this one's kind of short.
Why are there robot horses?
Those are Geth armatures. We've actually...
Why are there Geth
Hey,
horses?
feudal Japan had them, if Animusha 2 is anything.
They're not horses, they're more like four-legged spiders, really. Half spiders, I don't know. And they have really weird necks.
So they're horses.
No. No. Horses can't walk sideways.
Well, that's why they're robots.
Horses don't explode when you kill them, unless you're playing an SNES RPG or something.
Well, if you shoot an RPG at the horse, it'll explode.
That is also true, but that's not the horse exploding. That's the missile exploding and blasting the horse into gory bits, which
Yeah, but the horse is
would
exploding with it.
unfortunately not have passed '90s Nintendo's censorship policy.
They wouldn't pass their censorship policy now.
Well, it would just get them an M rating, and Nintendo's a bit itchy about that, but they'll still sometimes do it. I mean, they publish Bayonetta, so fuck it.
And they wonder why everyone considers them kitty.
Yeah, well...
Family friendly.
Their family-friendly reputation these days is so small potatoes compared to what it was on the Super Nintendo, or the NES for that matter. Ugh.
Well, when you're the only game in town, you can tell people to do basically whatever the hell you want, and nobody will stop you. Because, like all things considered, it's if you want to publish your game on a Nintendo platform, you don't get to have blood and guts in Mortal Kombat. Sucks to be you. So, yeah.
Or story in Ultima 7.
And that's why everyone bought the Genesis version.
There was no Genesis version of Ultima
I
7.
meant of Mortal Kombat.
I think you was talking more about that.
I know. I've been experimenting with the Ultima games lately, and I took a good hard look at the SNES version of Ultima 7, and I don't think I've ever played a worse port in my life. Imagine Sonic Genesis and everything you felt while playing that. Multiply it by 3.
So playing Sonic Genesis 3 times in one day.
Not that any of us here have done that ever.
I have.
That was the joke, John.
I'm an idiot.
Anyway, this driving sequence to get to what's actually happening on screen is very short and very simple. In fact, most of the driving sequences in the plot missions are short and simple. We already did one on Therum. It was basically just driving down a Final Fantasy XIII hallway until you couldn't take your car forward anymore. It's the same deal here, except you're just driving to the Exogeny headquarters, and when you get there, you get out of your car, you go into the building, you shoot stuff. Very easy, very simple. Noveria is going to be pretty much the same way. There's going to be a slightly more complicated driving sequence in the Vermeer part of the game, but it's still mostly the same deal, just a long corridor area that you have to drive through to get to where the main plot stuff happens. In that sense, Mass Effect 1 is kind of formed.
Whoa!
Monster truck here!
Oh, man.
Sick move, Commander.
I'm doing a wheelie. No, you're not. The car is being held up by a metal barrier that you're dragging along with us. It's a wheelie. Shut up.
This Excitebike port looks fantastic.
What they didn't tell you was about Shepard's brief history as a monster truck jam driver.
I love how it was still bouncing up and down like it was on one of those bouncy castles or something.
Unfortunately, they do not have, unique gravity settings for different worlds when it comes to the Mako. It's always bouncing around like a goddamn moon buggy, even on a planet like this that's clearly got, ordinary Earth gravity. This is Ethan Jong. He's an asshole, but you have to make sure he survives in order to get Zeus Hope the best ending it can get out of this game. If you do that, well, Zeus Hope will be in a pretty good position by the end. By the time you get to Mass Effect 3, it's not really an important thing to do though, because you only ever hear about what happens with Zeus Hope in Mass Effect 3 through a news email. Like, you hear about what the colonists are doing if they've survived that long and are still thriving. But you do get a small side quest involving them in Mass Effect 2 if they survive this game.
A lot of stuff you seem to tell me, you seem to say is just basically, we wanted to, if you do this, then in Mass Effect 3 you get like a news bulletin. Do you think that they wanted to do more with those kinds of things?
I think that they wanted to do more, but a combination of it being really, really goddamn ambitious to actually do more, and them having been bought out by EA during the development of this game, kind of shot all that in the foot. In fact, Mass Effect Andromeda isn't even going to have to deal with all that stuff, because not only is it set in another goddamn galaxy, but, like, the people who set out for the Andromeda Galaxy left the Milky Way Galaxy before Mass Effect 2. So, essentially, nothing matters except this game, as far as those people are concerned.
I wonder if that was a giant screw you to EA.
No, it was probably just the developers trying to distance themselves from this trilogy and its ups and downs so that they could start over. It also gives them an excuse to go back to Mass Effect 1 basics in certain technological aspects where, they might not have, where fans might not have liked the direction that the Milky Way Galaxy developed in Mass Effect 3. So, like, if they want to go back to having, heat-based weapons that haven't upgraded to thermal clips, well, they can just say that happened after the Andromeda crew left, I don't necessarily know if they're going to do that specifically, but it was just an example of how that would work.
It's a good time for a fresh start for BioWare, because Mass Effect came out 2007, Andromeda's coming out literally 10 years later, 2017, and starting off from fresh with a new protagonist and a new storyline just seems like a good way to reboot the series, sort of.
Yeah.
Not reboot it, but
Interesting thing about the protagonists of that game, I think the male and female protagonists of Andromeda are actually both going to be in the story no matter which you pick to play as. Like, I think they're brother and sister or something.
That'll be different.
Is there still character creation in it?
Well, yeah, I would imagine so. They haven't shown a definitive face for either of the Ryder characters. Ryder is the name that you're probably going to be known as, but they've only ever shown the characters with their helmets on. Kind of like what they did with Dragon Age Inquisition, actually. Like, fun fact, the armored warrior on the front of Dragon Age Inquisition's cover, it's actually a woman. You wouldn't be able to tell, because you see her from behind, and she's decked out in full plate mail armor with her hand held up in the air and everything, and, well, yeah, it's just like the most anonymous swordsman in armor
Medieval
that you've ever
Samus Aran.
seen.
Yeah, I bet you
like
EA didn't know that was supposed to be a woman either.
Yeah, the manual clearly states that she's a cyborg.
Well, no, here's the thing. If they knew, they probably would make them change it, because women don't... Unless if you're like Lara Croft, having a woman on your cover is you're more likely to not sell your game that way. That's just how the numbers work.
I didn't know until someone confirmed it, so yeah. But it really doesn't matter in Dragon Age Inquisition's case, because unlike Dragon Age 2, which had Hawk as the main character and had a poster boy face for him, there's really no mascot character for Dragon Age Inquisition. You make your character, they're the Inquisitor, the end. And Dragon Age Origins had a mascot character for its CG trailers, but you can't even make that character in the game, so it was completely fucking pointless.
I think Mass Effect 3 did something kind of interesting where usually the front cover is like the male Shepard, but you can like flip it around to be the female Shepard underneath. So you can actually have the cover whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, they've got an alternate image complete with an alternate back cover and everything printed on the underside of the physical game case for Mass Effect 3. So you just flip it over and you can put the female Shepard on the front if you want, which is what I did. But
I love games that do that. It's awesome.
That came after a long series of complaining from the fan base, especially on the forums, where players who liked female Shepard wanted to see female Shepard get some marketing exposure, because it was always white guy McBuzzcut in the trailers and on the posters and the screenshots.
He dropped that name a long time ago, and he would like you to not mention it ever again.
Yeah, he's white. He's white. He's white-faced McBaldy now. All right, get it right.
But yeah, it was always the default male Shepard who was on the cover of the game box in the trailers. So they finally threw that part of the fan base a bone by making an alternate trailer, directed more or less the same way. An alternate in-game trailer, first of all. I think that was the first one they made, that played out all the same trailer scenes and gameplay scenes with a female Shepard. And then they remade the same CG trailer for the game with the female Shepard replacing male Shepard. So there's one version of both for both versions.
I would just run over them, Lewis.
I would, but they're standing in the middle of a doorway that'll get my wheels caught.
Do it anyway. Clearly nothing stops your vehicle in this game.
It is possible to fall off this bridge, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It is very possible to fall off the bridge, and if you do, it's an instant death. So be careful where you're driving.
For a second there, I thought you wanted to test that.
Well, when I was on a previous playthrough. I think it was a previous playthrough. I hope it's not this one. I was trying to take care of one of the big tanks, one of the big Geth armatures, and I backed up too far, and I drove off the goddamn track, and I just died. And it took me like 3 seconds to realize why I died. Okay.
Hold on, stand still. I'm planning your demise.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
I've never had to get out to fight these things.
Now, there is something that people in the comments have probably been shouting at me to do for the last 32 parts, and that's when you're in it. When you're in the tank, you can get out of the tank and shoot the enemies that you've been fighting for extra experience, more experience than you'd get if you killed them while you were still in the tank. Well,
is that a bug, or is that intentional?
I don't know if it's a bug or it's intentional, but
it makes sense if it was intentional, because it is easier to kill things in the tank, so it makes sense that you could get
more experience by challenging yourself, killing them on foot. Yeah, that's a thing. The thing is, I never do it because you don't really need that extra boost of experience points. Especially on your first playthrough, because on your first playthrough the level cap is 50, not 60. And if you're playing the game from level 1 with your experience level uncapped to 60, well, you also don't really gain a whole lot from those extra kills, because the vast amount of experience points it takes to level up past 50 in the first place, well, that extra experience boost is a drop in the bucket, really. It's not really that big a deal. At least not to me.
Walked all the way back to the car to drive it 20 feet.
Yeah, I did.
Those things are supposed to be smart.
Yup. Oh, man.
Oh, wait, just leads back outside. Oh.
Yeah. They're just little cargo tunnel things. Sometimes there's treasure in there, but well, the treasure is randomly generated, so it doesn't really matter that there's treasure in there. You can skip it, and you probably won't miss much. but because the treasure is randomly generated, you can never be sure during each playthrough whether or not you'll get the best stuff. So
What is up with the gun's accuracy? The reticle was clearly on the center of the guy's body mass, and it was...
He was inside the doorway, so it doesn't count.
The gun... No, it's because the gun can't angle downward. And this guy was standing
Even
too
if the
low.
reticle can clearly go that far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said this in an earlier part, probably in a session weeks and weeks ago. But yeah, that's one of the main drawbacks of the Mako, is that you can't actually aim downward under any circumstances.
And that's why you just run over them.
Well, yeah, but I can't drive my tank into that doorway, so that wouldn't have
You
worked.
can try.
Just fucking quitters talk.
Besides, if you're on an elevation where you can run over an enemy, you can also shoot them.
I take it you never attempted to get the... What was it? That gun in Halo 2? The Scarab?
No,
Like
I haven't played Halo 2, so obviously not.
It required you taking the... Are you at least familiar with the floating vehicle, the Banshee? The hovercraft you can essentially take from...
I might be, I
That's
might
the
not be.
that's the
It's been a while
purplish one,
since I
right?
played anything
Yeah,
Halo.
yeah, it's the purple one. You're supposed to take a Banshee through a very compact tunnel system, get it through that entire thing, and make sure it doesn't disappear after going through a loading zone. That way you can take it to an area you're not supposed to have it in, and if you drive it to one of the rooftops of the building, they actually placed an all-powerful weapon on top of those rooftops for you to abuse, if you manage to get the Banshee through that tunnel system.
How kind of them.
Yeah, it's really nice of them. So I'm going to assume you can do something similar with this moon buggy. And...
You just have to
Take
abuse
the
the
view.
incredibly wonky physics to launch yourself all the way across the map.
Speaking of wonky physics,
Just run over it.
well, I mean, that works too.
if you get out of the car, they'll focus their fire on your characters so you can save your tank from being destroyed that way. That's why I keep doing this.
There's only 2 payments left in the buggy. I'm not having anything happen to it now.
Once your kinetic barriers go down on the moon buggy, you basically have no health. That thing dies really goddamn fast. Not as fast as the Hammerhead in Mass Effect 2, though. That's a whole nother thing.
So if it's turned off and it's like in the ship or something, if someone just like trips into it, it just explodes.
Maybe that's why Shepard took off the cannon. Like, Shepard tried to put the cannon on to the last moon buggy. She kind of like bumped it a little bit, and it blew up, and now she's just afraid it'll happen again, so she doesn't want to set the thing up.
That's the story of how she got that scar above her eye. Everyone thinks it's a war scar. No, it was just an accident.
She'll never admit that, though.
Anyway, here we are, at the end of the driving section. This might seem like a really random place for the entrance to be, but you gotta remember, they didn't build these buildings here, they just took over the buildings that were left over. So, the doors are where they are.
Well, that guy just hanging upside down when he's dead.
Oh,
it's a
man.
piñata.
If a pinata doesn't break when you hit it, is it broken?
Now, I like how this rocket trooper can fucking fire rockets through the floor, but I have to make it float so that I can hit it with my gun. That's fair. Ugh. This is also the part of the game where, as you start killing enemies, you start getting a lot of stuff. You do get equipment when you kill enemies some of the time, but in order to see what that equipment is, you have to go into your menu, and usually the game will just dump everything that you've picked up from monster drops on you all at once.
Could you pick up a Geth head and just put it like over your head and go beep boop, I am Geth, let me pass?
Oh, man.
I'd love to try it, but
It depends on one of these areas have retinal scan security lockdown features.
I wouldn't advise it. I really would not advise it.
Oh, quitter.
they're clearly not as brave as you said they were, so.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Paragon option is using the like unconscious body to get past the retinal scan. The Renegade is decapitating it and wearing it as a helmet.
So much gray.
Ugh. That goddamn dog.
Hey, it's that dog.
Now, you see, I was trying to be quiet so that I could edit out some dog barking just now. It probably will be cut out when I get to this, or maybe I'll leave it in. I don't know. But the dog just kept barking. It wouldn't stop. I thought it would just bark for a few seconds and then someone would tell it to shut up. No. God damn. Well,
Was it trying to commentate over Mass Effect?
it just wants to be part of the commentary crew, I'm sure. Anyway, yeah, you walk into this room, you check the treasure chest, and suddenly this Geth armature just gets up and tries to kill you.
Oh no,
What, he
Caden's
killed him
dead.
with his
It got
texture.
Kaiden.
No, Kaiden! You're not supposed to die until the next plot mission. Get back up.
You die when I tell you to, son.